30.
Pikachu!
49. Sabalenka. 15 love.
Hello tennis fans and welcome to another tennis blog. Today we're going to be talking about US Open tennis with me, MUFTiiYT. And of course, as you remember, we had a tennis short just last weekend, giving you a question. Who would win the US Open final between Taylor Fritz and Jannik Sinner? So we'll get to that answer in just a moment. So first of all, just to go through a little bit of the lead up to the US Open. In an intriguing US Open, you had Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz losing early, and of course Jack Draper. British tennis must be very proud of him for reaching the semi-finals at least, in his first kind of Grand Slam wins. So it is really good. And of course, as you can see here, we've got Novak Djokovic statistics into the US Open. He actually won his round 1, round 2 and round 3, round 1 and round 2, losing unfortunately in round 3 to an Australian player called Alexei Popyrin. He's 24th ranked in the world, as you can see, from Sydney, 25 years old. Probably a player you wouldn't even expect to even come near Djokovic, let alone beat him. And the score of that match was, if you can see here, 6-4, 6-4, 2-6, 6-4. So clearly, as you can see here, Novak really struggling in the early stage of the US Open, probably from fatigue. A lot of people that I spoke to said that he was struggling with fatigue during the tournament, and just coming out of his gold medal win at the Olympic Games in Paris. Obviously, you would have expected, probably, he's a human being, after all, so you can't expect him to win everything, otherwise he'd be more than a human being, wouldn't it, guys? So obviously, losing here, unfortunately, but still a big win for Alexei, of course, beating a top player and a huge Grand Slam legend in the game of tennis. So, a big hats off to him. Now let's move on to another player who had a bit of a car crash himself. He had Carlos Alcaraz. So let's have a look at Carlos Alcaraz. Right, so Carlos Alcaraz just coming out of the final of Paris at the Olympic Games, again losing early in round 2. So at least Djokovic won round 2, yeah? Okay. So, and Carlos Alcaraz losing in round 2 in straight sets, guys. 6-1, 7-5, 6-4. A 3-set defeat. Carlos really unable to play well in that match at all. Again, looking like fatigue. And it's inevitable. He's a young player, 21 years of age. He's won so much already this year, Wimbledon championships, and so much already, and you can't expect him to win everything, right? So he's going to be coming with a bit of fatigue, but there is the ATP finals at the end of the season, and I'm sure, who knows, he could definitely do very well in that tournament, and I'm sure he will qualify for it. So that was, and the winner was of that match was Botic van der Zandershoop. How do you pronounce that? You can comment down below. He was from Netherlands, 68th ranked in the world, and unfortunately losing to Jack Draper, the British player, in straight sets in the next round after winning to Alcaraz. And obviously, talking about Draper, let's move on to Mr. Draper. Right, our British Jack Draper doing phenomenally well, as you can see here, playing really well in his first round match against Zhang of China, Diaz Acosta in the second round, and Van der Zuyp, the one who beat Carlos Alcaraz in round 3, and in round 4 against Maciek, and obviously against a top player like Alex de Minaur in the quarterfinals, beating him straight sets 6-3, 7-5, 6-2, and sadly losing in the semi-finals. Obviously, it is tough and challenging to play top players back to back, and especially in the semi-final. You're playing against an experienced young player like Sinner. You're going to have to go in with mentally, you're going to have to go physically, and sadly he was just really struggling to get his game on board. During that match, he threw up. I'm sure many of you have seen it. He was throwing up during the match, just not feeling himself, and sadly losing straight set. What does this mean for Jack Draper, you must be asking me? He's going to do well. This is just the start, and he's still a young player. He's got so much in him, so I wouldn't count him off going forward. There is so much potential. So guys, just take this as a bad day. He'll gather himself, get back together, preparing for the next Grand Slam, which is the Australian Open next year, and really doing well, and really taking this as an achievement, learning a lesson from it, and getting better. So now let's move, before we get into the men's final ultimatum, we'll get to the ladies first. So let's see how the ladies did. Right, well, so so coming into the ladies' side of the tennis, we were expecting a lot more excitement for British players, maybe, but I'm sure we can say that with a bit of a tooth comb. Emma Raducanu, who we always talk about, unfortunately just not having it again, just losing to an American, her name being Sophia Kenin. And she lost in 3 sets, so put up a fight in the second set, 6-1, 3-6, 6-4. Again, a comment I would make from the previous blogs regarding Raducanu. I think she's just really not in the game and in the frame right now, so she really needs to look into what she wants to, how she needs to get out of this mindset, get herself back to where she was several years ago. You guys know that US Open, we keep talking about it all the time, and she's only 21, so still relatively young, and a lot of potential for sure for the British player. In terms of other big names, Coco Gauff, we always mention her, and being the US Open, why not? So let's have a look at her. Coco Gauff, of course, she is 20 years of age, doing amazingly well. You guys remember her last year winning the US Open in fantastic style. Unfortunately, this year going a little bit, losing to Navarro, her name Emma Navarro, who is 23 years of age, and 8th ranked in the world. So big hats off obviously to Navarro for winning against Gauff. Gauff again, still making it to the 4th round at the US Open is a huge achievement, and obviously she's still young and she's done so well, and all you can say for her is that she will just get better and better all the time. She's taking inspiration from the legends of Venus and Serena Williams in the game, so she'll just get better and better, and keep getting better at it, really, and beating Svitolina in the round 3. And Svitolina, you guys know from Wimbledon time how good she is. The Ukrainian can be dangerous, and to beat her in 3 sets is just remarkable as well. So let's not say, but let's not complain about golf, but obviously she'll just keep getting better. Anyway, let's move on to the ladies final. Right, so in the ladies final, so we have 2 debut US Open to win. Essentially, none of these players have won the US Open ever before, and obviously we've got a local American. 6th seed was Jessica Pegula, as you can see here, ranked 3 in the world, versus the second world number 2 in the women's tennis, called Ariana Sabalenka. And obviously, as you can see here, first US Open final for the 2 of them. Sabalenka winning it 7-5, 7-5. Pegula did really do her best. I don't want to get too much into statistics of matches anymore, because I don't really see that they do just for the performance of the player. All I can really say and conclude to you guys is that Pegula did really well. I watched the match and she really tried her best. Sabalenka was just in formidable form. She just really dictating all the shots, putting the pressure on Pegula all the time, taking the crowd away from Pegula at some time to time as well. So it's you can't just write Pegula off. She had a really tough day, but 7-5, 7-5. I know the scoreboard says straight sets, but I tell you, the match definitely showed more. So do check out the highlights in the description down below. Right, now let's go into the men's singles final. Right, so the amazing men's singles final against Taylor Fritz, of the local American, against Jannik Sinner, world number 1. There's a reason why Jannik Sinner is world number 1. He just does so well. He is just unbelievable. I tell you, beating Taylor Fritz with the American crowd on board at 6-3, 6-4, 7-5. Unfortunately, there was a lot of opportunities in the third set for Fritz to win, to capitalize and take the set. Unfortunately, making unnecessary errors in his shot making and and decision making on certain shots, like whether to do the volley or the backhand. And so guys, Taylor, but one thing I'll say is for Taylor Fritz is just learn from this and this experience of being in a final. He's I think he's been in a final before, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Wimbledon. I'm not too sure, I might be wrong, but just learn from this, and obviously and next year he might win. How old is Taylor Fritz? Let's have a look. Oops, sorry. How old is Taylor Fritz? Let's have a look. He's only 26, so he's still got maybe 6-7 years left in him, so we can definitely proudly say he should win something big in the year to come. And who knows, the Australian Open being round the corner, he may take inroads in that. He's definitely playing really, really well in hard courts, beating Francis Tiafoe in 5 sets just before the final. I mean, you can only imagine how tired he must be. Alexander Zverev in the quarterfinal. So I'm just looking from this, and you can really tell that going into this final, Taylor Fritz must be really tired, playing big names in the lead up. And you can see Alexander Zverev, Casper Ruud in the 4th round, Berrettini in the 2nd round. That must be a really hard draw. How can you imagine having to play against these players back to back, Casper Ruud, and then the next match is Zverev and then Tiafoe. It is tough, guys, tough. So we have to give our hats off to Fritz to as much as how he played, and he can only take the positives from the final and get better. And so let's go to the winner, Jannik Sinner, world number 1, 23 years of age, and he's performed remarkably well. He had Daniil Medvedev in the quarterfinals, he had Paul in round 4. So it much looks like a little bit more easier draw compared to Fritz getting to the quarterfinal. And as you can see, Medvedev was just the slight slip up for him. in the quarterfinal, losing the second set 1-6, and then he beat Draper very easily, and of course being in the final. So I think really this, if we conclude the final of the men's singles, you can just tell really who was the most fittest player on the day, and that was Jannik Sinner, and being able, and with full of energy, full of emotion, ready to tackle Taylor Fritz. Taylor Fritz not doing too bad if we forget the scoreboard, but a really tough draw going into the final. So all we can say is congratulations to Sinner and congratulations to Sabalenka. So guys, that really brings an end to this week's tennis blog. Obviously there will be some more tournaments coming in between. I will obviously hope to focus on those as well, adding on to Grand Slams, but until then, I hope to see you all in the next one. Do let me know in the comments down below, who do you think deserved to win the US Open? Do you think Draper should have, or do you think Sinner deserved? Do you think Sabalenka deserved? Do comment down below. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts and viewpoints, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Peace and take care.